Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode of the Osasu Show. First and foremost, let me thank each and every single one of you that was present at the 5th edition of the Osasu Show Symposium and the 3rd edition of the Osasu Show Foundation Gala. It was a huge success due to your presence and your participation. I am eternally grateful to each and every one of you TOSAs out there. All right, on today's episode, we'll be showing you highlights from both the gala and the symposium that was held on August 16th. It was truly phenomenal. It was remarkable, the conversations that we had, the intellectual depth, of the conversations was truly remarkable. And I really do look forward to the implementation of the communique that was derived from the symposium. The children and the beneficiaries of the Osasu Show Foundation were so excited at the gala in the evening. They were so happy, and due to your patronage and due to your support, most of them will be going back to school again in the upcoming term. So I really do want to thank you for being part of their success and part of the impact that we continue to make in their lives. All right, after this short break, we'll be showing you highlights, so don't go anywhere, sit back and relax.
There are certain moments in the day when I need my me time to just unwind and indulge.
What is this?
The Cadbury goodness is in every pack of Cadbury 3-in-1 hot chocolate, making you feel cheerful and pleasant.
Now available in 30 grams and 450 grams.
You won't go shake your body. Instead, they make it calm down. Eat the farm, say it's happy. You want to grow 6 packs in a day. I beg you, not do pass your power. You want to show yourself, oh.
Whatever your size, find it with the new Airtel data plans. Dial *141# now to get the plan that suits you. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Why the People's Constitution?
Because I think it's high time we have a legal document which will be binding that reflects the yearnings of the people. So it's one thing just to talk about it, what our hopes and our aspirations are, what our desires are as a people, but it's another thing to have a legal document that we can start to hold our legislators accountable for, hold those that we've elected into office in the executive arm of government accountable for. So I think once we are able to draft a People's Constitution, we'll be able to start applying pressure, the right pressure, on our legislators, on those in the executive to start to act out, in the best interest of all Nigerians, and also in the judiciary, because we cannot neglect that arm of government. They play a very critical role, and most Nigerians, from our research and our focus groups that we've held, have said that they want to see drastic reforms being done in the judicial arm of government. So the People's Constitution will be a reflection of the yearnings of the people, which will be legally binding on our officials to implement.
Well, I mean, I've been here for almost a year now, so I've been briefed about the key issues. So I know pretty well, some of the fundamental discussions that are going on the Constitution. And I think, one of the aspects that is interesting for me as a High Commissioner is to look into the women's participation into politics.
Every constitution has two major components, government and the people. It's all about defining the relationship between the peoples of this nation and their relationship as a people to government and vice versa. And in all of this, we think that there is a disconnect. There is what people like to regard as trust deficit. So if these are the issues, what is it that the people are not doing as citizens in order to hold our leaders to account? And then what are the things that the government is not doing in order to help us solve problems of security, problems of unemployment, problems of economy, problems of social justice, problems of religion and ethnicity, and these are some of the elements that are captured in every constitution. So I think that this constitution needs to be looked at from two perspectives: the letters of the Constitution, the spirit of the Constitution, and again, how we implement the Constitution. No constitution is perfectly or is perfect or 100%, but what happens is that every constitution must have sufficient buffer to accommodate the nuances of the people of that country and protect them.
I would say that the Nigerian constitution does not stand the test of time. Nigerian constitution does not ensure justice, and Nigeria's constitution needs to ensure that people trust it. So for me, the theme is timely, because when you look at the state of Nigeria, there's so much sadness, so much injustice, and people want to feel a sense of belonging, and the only unifying platform is our constitution that ensures that every citizens are treated equally. And for me, I'm excited that Code is partnering with us, DSTV, to bring about this conversation, because dialogue is the only way that we can move Nigeria forward, and we have brilliant panelists and speakers that would shape this conversation. We hope that we ignite the National Assembly and brother citizens at the grassroots to demand for a new constitution that meets Nigeria's test of time.
So my own, as a leadership coach, my concept is usually that the framers of the Constitution, the executors of the Constitution, if they apply selfless leadership in the entire process, even if the Constitution is not complete, we will be able to accomplish a lot more. So it is where the issues usually is the intent, the motive of the framers, or those who even want to amend the Constitution. When the moment a leader is selfless, then the application of the Constitution will work perfectly for everyone.
The event began with addresses by the keynote speakers, as well as others who emphasized the importance of the symposium, especially at a time when the nation is experiencing a history-defining moment.
The growing feelings of marginalization across the country have their roots in the perception that certain sections of the country are being unduly favored at the expense of others in the allocation of resources, political patronage, and government support using common resources, which ought to be enjoyed by all sections of the country. There is therefore a palpable feeling of lack of inclusiveness in governance and unfair distribution of political patronage and resources of the Federation. This has become so pronounced as to justify the perception that it is only when the political leadership hails from a particular state or geopolitical zone that the socio-political and economic prosperity of the state or geopolitical zone will be guaranteed.
As most of you know, we believe in Canada that supporting gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls is the best way to build a more peaceful, inclusive, and prosperous world. And there is much progress to be made in Nigeria. For instance, there has never been a more important time for women to be involved in politics. Women currently make up only 6.7% of elected positions in Nigeria. This is compared to an average of 15% across the region in sub-Saharan Africa. These figures point to the need for greater support and encouragement of female candidates at all political levels.
There are assumptions which we must clear from the outset. The first assumption is that the constitution of any country is the ground norm. It is the supreme document that defines relationships between the peoples of that country and government. So the Constitution defines how we relate with one another and how we relate with government, and all of them must be geared towards providing social order, inclusive governance, growth and protection for the citizens, and maintaining the dignity of the citizens and country. Whether we have been able to live within this light in Nigeria is a matter for another discussion someday in future.
Let me quickly reiterate that the purpose for being here today is to agree on policies and laws that are favorable to the average Nigerian. Whether that is affirmative action for women, youths, and persons with disabilities, or fiscal federalism, which entails devolving power from the federating unit to substructures such as states and local government councils, or doing away with the dichotomy of indigents versus settlers, thereby federal character, this is the platform to discuss it all. Our leaders are here to listen. They're here to learn how you would like to be governed. As for my team and I, we'll be closely monitoring your demands and following up with its implementation, just as we've done with the past 4 editions of the Osasu Show Symposium.
The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, was enacted on 29 May 1999 by Military Decree Number 24, inaugurating the Nigerian Fourth Republic and restoring democratic rule to Nigeria. It remains in force till today. I believe this lack of direct origins in the people or their elected representatives is why some citizens and sections of civil society, and some speakers here this morning, insist that none of the various Nigerian constitutions qualify to be called a people's constitution. They advocate for the total abrogation of the present one, while calling for a process to midwife the emergence of a new constitution, which they claim will be the lodestone for a more egalitarian Nigerian society driven by the rule of law. I understand their arguments and how I wish I could buy into their optimism. Sadly, given our socio-political realities as a nation, I think calls to dump the present constitution wholesale and make a new one from scratch are not very realistic at this time.
This was then followed by panel discussions comprising of panelists drawn from different sectors across Nigeria.
Let's talk about the fact that some parts of the Constitution are not yet implemented. So we worked on Basic Healthcare Provision Fund that was clearly established in Nigeria's 1999 Constitution, and government after government just thought, it's a suggestion. We can or cannot do anything about it. So what do we do about a constitution that our leaders don't implement? How do we address that? What is this whole exercise about if we change a constitution and we are left with a constitution that leaders feel like they may or may not implement?
The parts of the constitution that are not usually that implemented are the parts that relates to the masses mostly. Because the parts where the political elites have leverage on are fully implemented all of the time.
You know, Chapter 2 of the Constitution, when we are taught in school, these are not justiciable, meaning you can go to court. However, lawyers have looked for ways to navigate around that. Now, one of the things we can do is, this is an opportunity actually, which was when I made the point on the right to economic development, even the right to education. Now, these are provisions that are originally in the Chapter 2, that I believe that this is the time to move them to Chapter 4. Now, the difference, Chapter 4 of the Constitution provides for the fundamental human rights, which within that Constitution, citizens are empowered to go to court to challenge a violation of those provisions.
To answer your question directly, vote. Vote. If you don't vote, elections can be rigged. The higher the voter turnout, the less likely it is that elections will be rigged. This is across board. It is a global fact. In Zambia, only just this weekend, they changed their ruling power, the party in power, simply because there was a 70% turnout at their elections. There was a surge. There was an increase in the number of elections. The reality is this: if you don't turn up to vote, the people in power who seek to manipulate the election results will manipulate those election results, and you wouldn't get the government that you want.
I say to you as a citizen, we're very good at complaining, we're very good at asking questions, we're very good at saying things that should be done, but when it's time for us to move from our seats to the field to get our hands dirty, we shy away from it. We need to go out there and ask questions. When you see your House of Rep member, don't ask him for a job. Don't ask him to get money for whatever. Ask him what he's doing for Nigeria and the constituents he represents. That is how to be a good citizen of the country.
Every structure, every institution playing its role. And it's a system of checks and balances. Within the government, you have the three arms that are bound to check and balance each other. In our own context, they have failed woefully to do that. Instead of checks, we are seeing connivance, we are seeing collaboration, not for positivity, but for negativity. Oversight in the National Assembly, compromise. Instead of serving as check and balancing each other, they appear to connive to indeed take away what belongs to the people.
Power only listens to power. So how can we ensure that when we want people or the government to listen to us, you have to come with what the language they understand, which is power. But how do you get power? You must stand united and speak with one voice. And I can give you a couple of examples. How did we get the Not Too Young to Run law? You think it's just by advocacy and all the protests we had? No. You must mobilize power. My people, I think we need to stop speaking all this English. We must start speaking the language people at the grassroots understand. Because if we want to negotiate power, we must understand and take the power to the people and tell them that the legitimacy belongs to you and the true power actually belongs to the people. If we understand that as a people, getting the people's constitution will be icing on the cake. Because honestly speaking, this National Assembly would not give you the people's constitution.
If we do not recognize the mistakes that we have made in the past, we are bound to repeat it. We have had a constitution development process from the 1950s, from our pre-independence, and we are here 21 years after we returned to a democratic rule, saying how can we get a people's constitution? The mistakes that we had made in 1998 and 1999 when we were giving ourselves this constitution, we cannot afford to make those same mistakes.
First, we do not need more civil society people. What we need more are informed, active, and engaging citizens. If we have that critical mass of Nigerians who are informed, active, and engaging, we will not be where we are today. to the governor of Kogi State. When he came on board, he didn't ask that those vehicles that he made be refurbished for him to be using. He ordered to buy new cars and new vehicles. The Constitution of Nigeria can be likened to a mechanical device. The Constitution of Nigeria can be likened to an organism. One thing people must know is this: when we are doing our research next time, thank God you said somebody into research, we must also look at other climes in which some of these things have been done. I'm laying a template. Because if we do not do those critical things, there are also other options. Today, our nation has attained a stage where people no longer have a belief in this nation. We are in a dire strait, and we are fast losing Nigeria. And except we act like the benefit of what we stand to read from this symposium today and act on them, we may not have Nigeria in the next few years.
Members of the audience were also allowed to contribute to the conversation.
We are responsible for our problem. I'm telling you honestly, because we are greedy. In our days before independence, Nigeria used to be our constituency. But now they say, this one Hausa, this one Igbo, this one Yoruba. You start your rubbish tribal sentiment. Look, let me tell you, in my village we are swimmers. If we swim and come to the middle of the river, you want to drown, you come back. You see Nigeria, it must be won by force.
We spoke about local government autonomy. How about the State Independent Electoral Commission? That should be scrapped from the Constitution because the governors control the State Independent Electoral Commission. Then secondly, the tenure of our executive and legislators. For instance, the governor can come only twice, the president the same thing. But for the legislators, they can come, some have spent 20 years, 24 years. There should be limit to that. And for the executive, let's say just one tenure of 5 years. After that, you don't come back again.
My concern in the Constitution is the provision of Chapter 2 of the Constitution, which is non-justiciable. I think the Section 6 sub C of the Constitution was actually the section that made it not justiciable. And there are beautiful provisions in Chapter 2 of the Constitution. An example of it is Section 15 sub 5, which states that the state shall abolish all corrupt practices and abuse of power. I feel that they purposely made it not justiciable. Though we see that lawyers lay claim from the African Charter, which was domesticated, but the Constitution itself should not stifle the provision of itself.
The symposium also featured light entertainment, the launch of the TOS magazine, and was followed by the Foundation's fundraising and gala, which had in attendance many A-list celebrities and performing artists who came together under the common goal of a better Nigeria.
That's it for today's episode. Do follow us on social media at TOS TV Network, at Osasu Igbinedion, at The Osasu Show on Instagram, Facebook, and other social media handles. To be a part of the Osasu Show Foundation through volunteering or donating, you can find all the details on the screen. Stay up to date on our website to read the communique from the 5th edition of the Osasu Show Symposium. That's www.tostvnetwork.com. On there, you could also find news and sustainable development and current affairs across Africa. All right, next week and throughout the entire 4 weeks, actually, you'll be hearing and watching in-depth analysis and coverage of the symposium and the gala on this show. So don't miss it. You want to stay tuned to watch the entire series. All right. COVID-19 is still out there. Keep washing your hands, keep wearing your face mask, and keep practicing social distancing. God bless you all. See you next week. North to South Africa. East to West Africa. TOS TV Network is your digital-first Pan-African news network, bringing you news from across the continent. Visit our website www.tostvnetwork.com and follow us on social media at TOS TV Network on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.